Welcome to the Gita in Action Retreat. Oh my gosh, I just said retreat. We've been talking about retreats all morning. Welcome to the Gita in Action podcast. My name's Radha, and I'm here with our regular family of seekers, and we're reading through the Bhagavad Gita, verse by verse. Every Monday and Thursday, we do this at 7:30 a.m. Eastern Time. If you want to join our family live, we'd love to have you. You can text me, get the links. Um, yeah. So today we are in chapter 7, text 25, I believe is where we're starting today. We're in the thick of the Bhakti Yoga section of the Bhagavad Gita. And today it gets really sweet. So I'm looking forward to some of the conversations and discussions that we have around today's content. So let's get right into it. Let's just get right into it. We're going to start chapter 7, text 25. Oh, before we do that, Shakti, can you do our prayers for us, please?
I'd be honored. Om Agyana Timirandasya Yananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Mano Bishtam Shtapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupa Kara Mayam Dandati Sva Pandatikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sadvutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Shri Vusakan Vitams Cha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kancha Garungi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Prananami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Tirubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Eva Cha Patitanam Pavembhyo Vaishnavyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadahara Srivasari Guru Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare.
Thank you. Thank you, Shakti. We should all be firmly rooted in gratitude now, because gratitude makes our hearts soft, makes our hearts fertile for receiving this knowledge. So we will start with text 25, chapter 7, text 25. And when you're ready, Stella, if you could read that for us.
Okay. I am never manifest to the foolish and unintelligent. For them I am covered by my internal potency, and therefore they do not know that I am unborn and infallible.
Thank you. So just to kind of zoom out, and let's look at chapter 7 from like a bird's eye view here. Chapter 7 has 3 sections. Okay, the first section, text 1 through 12, talks about how Krishna pervades everything. Okay, the second section, text 13 through 24, we just wrapped that section up. This section talks about surrender, right? It talks about how depending on whether people know Krishna properly or not, they either defy Krishna, surrender to Krishna, or surrender to something connected to Krishna, but not Krishna. Okay. And so now we're starting this new section. This will bring us home. This will bring us through the end of the 7th chapter. And this section of the Gita explains how knowledge of Krishna leads to liberation. And so the start of the section begins with a question, right? Why isn't Krishna manifest to everyone? Why can't everyone see Krishna? Right? So bringing it back to this verse, right? This verse explains a key truth. Right? Knowledge of Krishna leads to liberation, right? But Krishna is not manifest to everyone. And the reason for this is because we see him according to our own intelligence and attitude. right? Like we see him according to how we are, not how he is. Like our conditioning kind of prevents us from seeing him how he is. We see him how we are. But isn't there a saying like this that you see people as you are, not as they are? Right? So that the fools here referred to in this verse misunderstand Krishna's higher reality. Right? And they approach Krishna, or sorry, they approach life with pride or defiance, thinking that they're in charge, right? Rather than recognizing that God's in charge. And how many of us fall into this like on a daily basis? Right? It's easy when we read these stories about demons or people that don't surrender, but the reality is that we all struggle with this. Right? We all struggle with this attitude of thinking that we're in charge, right? Rather than trusting that Krishna's in charge. Right? So if we imagine like a child that grows up in a tiny remote village in Africa, the whole village might only have like a couple hundred people, and life there feels like completely self-contained. And one day the child hears that you're part of a big country and that the prime minister is in charge. And the child thinks, who is this prime minister? Right? If he's real, let him come walk to our village and introduce himself. Right? Like the child can't even conceive of someone who governs millions. And even if someone tried to arrange a meeting, the prime minister still gets to choose whether or not he wants to meet the child. Right? So Krishna's position is like infinitely greater than this. Right? Just as the prime minister isn't bound to prove himself to every child in every remote village, Krishna reveals himself when and how he chooses, not according to our demands. Right? So even when Krishna was physically present on earth, he wasn't visible to everyone in the fullest sense. Right? So seeing Krishna, it's not just about seeing him with the eyes, it's about seeing him with the heart, with devotion. Right? And many warriors at the time of the battle saw him only as just another warrior, not the Supreme Lord. And just like we said, those who approach life with pride or insistence, trying to control their destiny, right, without acknowledging Krishna's supreme, they're going to remain blind to his higher reality. So even people that were on the battlefield with him didn't see him, right? They saw him with their eyes, but they didn't see him. So how do we actually see him? We see him through humility. We see him through dependence. We see him through sincere service. This is how we see Krishna, by recognizing our subordinate position and approaching him with devotion. We allow him to reveal himself according to his own will. And we can try to be little surrogate gods. Right? We can try to control our own destiny without acknowledging Krishna's supremacy, right? We can do this. He'll allow us to. He gives us all the facility to do that. We may even feel like we're pretty good at it, right? About being little mini gods. But eventually, death will come as a teacher. Right? Death will come as a teacher and remind us of the limits of our independence. Because no matter how strong or powerful or in control you are, right, nobody is going to beat death. And it's not even cruel. It's just a reality check. It's showing us the limits of our self-sufficiency and inviting us to surrender. Right? It's a chance to wake up and realign ourselves with truth. And so the takeaway here is simple. Liberation isn't about demanding Krishna or trying to control him, but it's about turning to him with humility, love, and devotion, and letting him reveal himself as he wills. Right? And approaching Krishna in this way opens the heart to his mercy and transforms our lives. And it connects us to that eternal loving relationship that we are created for. And it's beautiful. Think of how much Krishna teaches us about love here. Right? We can't catch Krishna. We can't demand that he come, that he bend to our will. No, we have to learn that winning this game is surrendering to Krishna's will. Right? Winning this game of life It's surrendering to Krishna's will, realizing that we're actually his eternal servant and turning back towards him. And we can all think of ways in our own lives, right, that we try to control outcomes in our lives rather than surrendering to Krishna. Does this happen to you guys? It's Aaron's on the call. Me and Aaron and another, you guys probably know Ashley. We're gonna do this women's retreat in Pittsburgh at Pittsburgh Botanical Gardens, and we had to cancel it because we only got 6 people registered, and we need 10 to register. And anyway, my friend Michael texted me. He sent me this really nice message, like, "Radha, I hope you're not discouraged," Um, and I was like, "Oh, that's funny. I wasn't discouraged at all." It was like this really sweet of him to be so considerate. But it was like, no, actually, Krishna's just moving things in a different way. And that's how we have to kind of start to see life, right? It's not like relative to ourselves and how this affects me. Right? No, it's understanding that Krishna's in charge. He's in control of our lives, and we want it that way. And in that way, the conception of duality kind of starts to lose its grip, right? Because duality is, does this feel good to me? Is this outcome what I desire? Right? Is this going to make me look good or feel good? Right? Or is it going to not make me happy? Right? It's all just relative to me. That's conception of duality. But when we marry our intention to God's will, it no longer exists. Right? God's in control, and he's moving the things in our lives for our benefit. And all we have to do is just surrender to that. Just trust in that. And it makes the anxiety of good and what's good, what's bad, preventing what's bad from happening, trying to make what's good happen. It's like takes away all of that anxiety. It's like, phew, we don't even have to worry about that. Right? We try our best, but we try our best for Krishna. We try our best in service to Krishna. And then however the result comes is however the result comes. It's really just like, this is nice. Right? It like brings like a softness and a peace to life. But this is how we surrender to Krishna. This is how we see Krishna. Right? And it's sweet. Right? So we try to learn to approach life with this humility, this devotion. We try to cultivate these qualities, even with dealing with each other, right? The sense of humility. That can be a tough one, right? But that's what Krishna wants to see in us. That's what Krishna wants to see in us. I was in a class yesterday and somebody asked a question like, if you're doing service and one person wants to do it this way and another person wants to do it this way, like, and I want to do it this way, how do you handle that? And the teacher was like, you practice humility. You just say, okay, you want to do it that way? Let's do it that way. No problem. It's like so nice. Like we don't have to be the controllers, and there may come a point that we have to address a situation or, we have to take a little bit more of a active approach in our service to God. But so oftentimes we can just take the humble approach, and it's really like the sweet and easy approach. It's just like, okay, I don't have to become so attached because Krishna's got my back. And it's not for me to control. It's such a relief, right? What do you guys think? Can you guys relate to that?
Yeah, I had thought of a situation in which at work, I've been there 32 years and we have a brand new librarian, just out of school, 27 years old, And um she we were going to do a workshop for a class, and I'm the veteran and I've done it a million times, and she acted like I was going to be in charge and she was just going to like follow along, and I was like, and I really felt like I don't know what I felt at the time, but I see the effect of what you were saying is when I said, no, I don't have to be the big, veteran of this. I said, no, why don't you lead it and I'll step back and I have your back. If you need me, I'm there, but you lead it. And she was nervous, and I just felt less responsibility. She stepped up in a way that she wouldn't have if I had tried to control the situation. And she grew, and I had less work. It was great.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So nice. Because you know what ends up happening is we like tie our worth to our like performance or the outcome of whatever it is that we're doing. And so then we get so attached to it because we're under the illusion that our worth depends on it. And then it's like, and in all of this, we're just like elbowing God out of the picture. Right? One, because we're forgetting that our worth is we're already fully worthy, right? And that we're just part of God. We're connected to God. That's what makes us worthy. Not whatever, funny little outcome, result or accomplishment we can have in this material world. So that's already that conception is butting God out of the way. But then trying to overcompensate and control a whole situation going after that conception. It's just like this illusion built on top of illusion built on top of illusion. And there's no room for God. So we have to break free of this. We have to practice this humility, this this surrender for anything worth value in life, right? To speak of connection with God. But if we want peace of mind, we want, just like you said, just to feel kind of happy, relaxed.
I had more satisfaction in seeing her step up than I would have running a perfect workshop that everybody, like
Oh, that's amazing.
I,
Yes,
I reflecting back is like, sure, maybe the the outcome might have been more effective. I don't even know, but there was when I went back to the office, I just felt great about her happiness. And
that's
that's I was,
perfect.
I really think that go like doing this twice a week, I remember that more. That just happened. Like
Yeah,
and I don't know. I it was when I felt that satisfaction, I thought of our class.
amazing.
Oh,
That's evolution of consciousness. It is when we can be happy for someone else's win.
yeah.
That's I was listening this in the same class I was listening to. They were telling a story about Radhanath Swami. He was giving a talk to the Pune temple, who I guess some temples in India were having like a competition for book distribution, and the Pune temple came in second. And he was saying, next year you should distribute twice as many books and hope that everybody beats you. This is what he is saying. Like in spiritual life, it's not about like being first or let me be the center. No, it's the opposite. We try as hard as we can for God, and then we hope that everybody beats us, right? We hope that everybody else is trying as hard as they can for God, and in that way, we're all connected around this common mission, and that's where real joy exists. Real joy and unity, right? Not in being the best or it's such a material conception. It's just funny. Shakti, you've had your hand up. Please share with us.
Um, something that it took me a minute, maybe more than a minute to learn. Um, and I see the glories what that Stella speaks of is like I'm in a group in the morning, and it's a just a short group where we read from the Bhagavatam and as much as we can in that half hour. And at first they were like, Stacy, can you do the prayers, right? Or Stacy, you go start. And so when we got on like a few different times, and today being one of them, they said, can you? And I said, well, yeah. Does somebody else want to read the prayers? And no, I don't know them. Whatever. So I said, okay, I'll read the prayers. And they said, all right, why don't you go ahead and read text 13? I said, I've already been talking. Why don't you go ahead and read text 13? And I think for most of the call, like I did, like whatever the readings were, but I really sort of, was giving, like they were talking about yugas and some time and different time things in this particular part of the Bhagavatam. And I said, wow, I said, yeah, I think that's really good. You nailed that. Like, even though I might have known it, I did not add any of my own words to it. I just was glorifying them. And they just felt so like, oh, wow, thank you. Like, and it's what a different feeling, especially for me with like Bhagavatam or learning scripture. It was something I always felt like I had to prove myself. I had to prove that I knew
Mm.
scripture. I had to prove that I knew, I could, knew a shloka. And you know what? Like, I don't have to prove anything. I have to prove that I love devotees, that I love Krishna. I don't have to prove that, but I have to know that inside. And when I step back and I do less and offer the opportunity for people to do more, I feel better. It's like that simple,
Mm.
Stella, right? Like you were saying, it's it seems simple, but because we're conditioned, right? Whoever we gotta go, we gotta do, we gotta show, and everyone's gotta see. We're so conditioned that we forget, and really this being in this class too, like Stella said, like it helps me on a more often basis to remember those things and to say and to want to keep doing them,
Mm.
which is like the kind of the gold standard, I think, Stella, right? You were saying like it's the gold standard is to try and keep doing these types of things, not do it once.
Yeah. So beautiful. And this is so perfect, Shakti. This is spiritual consciousness, right? This is spiritual consciousness. And this is the mark of a true leader or a real teacher, is to empower others, to help others see the greatness in themselves and to help make that shine. That's a real leader. Not someone who can just like speak really well and be in the front and the center and is comfortable. It's like no, making others shine, right? Pulling out the greatness, seeing the little flicker of light in somebody else and just making it glow, right? That's a real leader. And that's spiritual consciousness. And it's what uplifts us. It's like food for the soul. So as we go about our days, as we go about our lives, remembering that this happiness, this real satisfaction of the soul comes from this unity and in lifting others up, right? And not trying to prove our own worth. No, that's going to make us feel stuck and anxious. But lifting others up and try to stay in the spiritual consciousness when others are in material consciousness, right? That's the real test, right? When others are trying to compete with you or show you, right? Just no problem. We hear about so many great saints that were able to do this, right? Because they were so strongly tied at their core to God, right? To source. And in that they were empowered in the spiritual consciousness. It wasn't even like trying, right? They could hold on to it when everybody around them was in material consciousness, when everybody around them was making it about themselves, right? Serving the ego. Such beautiful lessons. Thank you. Thank you all. Should we move on to 26? Let me check on Julia just joined us. Welcome, Julia. Happy you're here. Aaron, did you have anything you wanted to any reflections from that verse?
I just love what Shakti was saying about not needing to prove ourselves. Like that really, um, hits home and makes me think of, I think it was Ananta Govinda who talked about like, Krishna's causeless mercy being causeless, and that therefore there is nothing we could do to earn it. Like
Mhm.
we've
Yeah.
already earned it. We're already worthy, but also like you can't do anything to earn it because it is like inherent in the definition of it itself, and I find great comfort in that.
Yeah.
Mhm. Really nice. Thanks for sharing that. Yeah, causeless mercy is So tough to even conceive of because, again, it doesn't exist in material consciousness. Beautiful. Thank you. Okay, Stella, when you're ready, if you want to share 26 with us.
Eh. O Arjuna, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, I know everything that has happened in the past, all that is happening in the present, and all things that are yet to come. I also know all living entities, but me, no one knows.
Thank you. Let's unpack this first. There's a lot going on here. So Krishna's telling Arjuna, I know it all. I know the past, I know the present, I know the future. Right? I know every living being inside and out, but hardly anybody knows me. And what does he mean by no one knows me? It doesn't mean that people don't know of Krishna. People know as Krishna. People see him as a historical figure, right? Or maybe some see him as God. But to really know Krishna, right? To know God, to know that he is in truth, right? His heart, his personality, right? This can only come through devotion. This can only come through devotion. It can't come through intellectual study or speculation, right? He decides to reveal himself to a heart that's humble and surrendered. And again, this humility, this is why this is just such an important part of spiritual life, is cultivating this humility, because this is who Krishna reveals himself to, right? This is like anybody want to see God? Anybody want to see God? Anybody really want to know God? Right? We have to be humble. We have to have a heart that invites God in, because he's not just going to like barge through, and he's not going to be dragged in either. No, our heart has to be humble. Our heart has to be soft. And to that heart, Krishna will reveal himself. And so it's like he's doing us a favor by teaching us, like, be humble. Right? Be humble, because this is the kind of heart that I want to reveal myself to. And also, we're finite beings, obviously, right? Our abilities, our strength, our knowledge, it's all limited. And Krishna, he's infinite. He's infinite. So from a logical standpoint, it would make sense to say that the finite can never truly grasp the infinite, right? Like that makes sense. God's infinite, I'm finite. How could I really understand anything infinite? Right? And that's true, at least on the level of logic. Right? But the beautiful thing about the Gita and what Krishna's teaching us here is that he goes beyond logic. He goes beyond logic to something much deeper, and this is love. This is love, and this love changes the equation. Because out of love for his devotees, Krishna uses his infinite power to bridge that gap. So in other words, he makes the impossible possible. Right? He reveals himself in ways our tiny minds alone could never reach. Right? And he lets the finite touch the infinite. And not because we figured it out but we're so great, but because he chose to respond to our love. And this is such a beautiful thing. And again, Krishna's like revealing to us what love actually is. I think I've said this before. Does anybody know that song? Like, I want to know what love is, right? I want you to show me, right? It's like we look everywhere in this world for love. And here it is. Krishna's telling us what this is, and he shows us what it is, right? That's what the entire Bhagavatam is. He's showing us this love. Right? And here he's reassuring Arjuna, who Arjuna's worried about the fate of his relatives on the battlefield. Krishna's saying, in essence, don't worry, I'll take care of them. Right? I got this. If they're spiritually qualified, they'll be liberated. If not, they'll get another chance in another life. Right? And I've already told you, even partial devotion brings great benefit. So imagine the result of wholehearted devotion, right? That's the path to true liberation. So Krishna's got us. Right? Krishna's got us. Krishna loves us, and he's waiting for us to turn back to him. And as soon as we do, he's ready to reveal himself to us, right? That's his promise. This is something I feel like I've been praying for a lot. It's just been on my heart really heavy lately when I sit down to chant. You know, I love chanting. I've always loved chanting. I would say that's what like made me a devotee is I love chanting. But if I'm being honest, I chant because it makes me feel good. Right? Like that's my impetus to chanting. It's like I love the way I feel when I chant. It's like a bath for the consciousness, right? But to get to this place where we chant because we love Krishna, right? This is what I've been praying for. This kind of love for God. You know, not because it makes me feel good, but because I love Krishna and this is my service to Krishna. Right? This is like the next level of love. Right? And Krishna tells us if we keep showing up, if we keep, you know, making the attempt, he'll give that to us. Right? And how sweet that is. I think about the love I have for my child. It's like the most joyous thing in my life, you know, but to think that this love for God is like infinitely beyond that. Like we can't even comprehend. Right? That's the promise. That's what's available for us. And this is the path of bhakti. What we're trying to cultivate. Okay, so the other thing Krishna says here, Krishna talks about knowing the future, right? He knows the future, and that one can be a little bit confusing, right? Like, does that mean that everything is programmed and we don't really have free will? And the answer is no, not at all. We can think of Krishna's knowledge about the future like our knowledge of the past. Like when we think about the past, that's kind of like Krishna's knowledge of the future. Right? Like when we look at the past, we see what happened, but we can't change it. But in the same way, Krishna sees the future, right? But his knowing it doesn't force us to act in a particular way. Like our free will is still there. He just knows like every possible pathway and where each one leads. Like a teacher who watches a student. You know, if the student studies, the teacher already likely knows the outcome, right? Like they'll pass. But if they slack off, they'll probably fail. The teacher sees this and they can kind of see where their students are going, right? The free will is still with the students, but the teacher has a clear sense of how each choice plays out, right? So that's just like a little small example. I mean, of course, Krishna's position is infinitely greater, right? Even time is his servant. So he could control everything if he wanted, but he doesn't. He doesn't. And he doesn't because he values love. And real love requires freedom. This was another like mic drop in my life when I started reading things like the Bhagavad Gita and hearing these stories of how Krishna exhibits love for his devotees, because it's like just blows all of our material conceptions of love out of the water. And it also raises the bar of our material conception of love. You know, real love requires freedom. Like he lets us choose, even if it means that we'll sometimes misuse that freedom. Right? And through those choices, we eventually realize how temporary material pursuits are and we turn back to him. But the point here is that he gives us this free will, right? Because that is a necessary ingredient for love. Free will has to be there. This was the point that was like a mic drop for me when I came into this philosophy, because I was in like actually a super controlling relationship and I thought that was love. You know, like, oh, he cares so much that he's always thinking about me and always trying to, you know, make me do this or that, like some perverted way. I felt like that was love. And it's like, no, that's not love. That's control, right? That's insecurity. That comes from a place of fear. That's not love. Right? Love doesn't come from a place, it's not fear-based. This free will, this is required for a loving relationship. Right? It's not one-sided. There's no love in that. So this is beautiful. This is beautiful, and this is what Krishna is offering us. Right? And just like we talked about, even when Krishna walked the earth, not everyone saw him as God. Many saw him as just another man or a warrior. So to truly see Krishna, again, it's not just with the eyes, it's with devotion in the heart. And this is another really cute thing. Cute and sweet, beautiful. When Krishna performs his pastimes, he sometimes even chooses to forget, right? So his position so that he can fully enjoy the exchanges of love with his devotees. Right? And then that unpredictability, it makes his relationships real, not mechanical. Right? This is that yoga maya. Right? Everybody forgets that he's God. And the rasa, the taste, increases in those loving relationships. It's so beautiful. Right? So what's the takeaway here? Krishna knows everything, the past, the present, the future. He already sees where our lives are heading. Right? But for us, it's so easy to get caught up in the unknown, right? We waste so much energy worrying, what's going to happen to me? What's going to happen to my family? What about this situation? This job, my finances, right? The truth is, we simply can't know for sure what the future holds, right? And that uncertainty can feel terrifying. And that's why spiritual wisdom, it gives us this shift in perspective. Instead of staring anxiously ahead, we're invited to look up, right? To Krishna, to the Supreme Controller. Right? He holds the future in his hands and he orchestrates everything for our ultimate good, for our spiritual growth, right? And for our journey back to eternal love. So we have to understand that our role isn't to figure out every detail of what's coming. That's not what we're meant to do here. And if you think that's what you're meant to do here, if that's what you're trying to do here, one, you're misusing your independence. But two, it's like, that's a tough road. Right? I'd been on that road for quite a while, and that's a tough one, full of anxiety, right? Full of heartbreak, right? This role of trying to figure out every detail of what's coming. No, our role is to trust him. Our role is to trust him. And how do we build that trust? We build that trust by serving him with love in the present time that we have. Right? When we practice bhakti yoga through chanting, through prayer, through service, through remembrance, right? This connection becomes our shelter. It grounds us. It guides us. This is what we're really meant to figure out at this university. Right? We get so caught up in can I, polish the walls of this university perfectly? Can I prepare this perfect meal in this university? Can I, it's like, no, we're meant to figure out that we have to trust the creator, right? That he has our back, right? And that we're actually not in control. And over time, we start to feel more secure. We start to feel more secure because we know Krishna is with us. And we feel more guided because our heart becomes tuned to his inner direction. And that's what allows us to put our best effort into today without being paralyzed by tomorrow. And we all know people that are like this, right? They just kind of float around life because they're so guided by Krishna's inner guide that there's no anxiety. There's only shelter in that, right? The anxiety comes when we try to take a position that isn't ours, and that is one of these, little surrogate gods, which is almost kind of comical, like when a child, when a child wants to play kitchen. So she gets a little fake kitchen set. She's cooking with fake little, dishes and bread and all the things. It's it's cute, but it's not real. That's not her position. Right? And that's what we're doing. We're trying to take a position that isn't ours. And Krishna allows us to because he loves us. Right? But that's not really the point. What we're trying to figure out here is that we need to turn back to him because nothing here is going to satisfy the heart. Only love for God will truly satisfy the heart. And everything else is just little sparks. Everything we experience in this material existence is just little sparks of that splendor, right? Intended just to invite us back, just to remind us of what's waiting for us, right? What's the real warmth of the fire, not just the little sparks. Right? Don't forget that these are just little sparks. Even the joy I had in love in my relationship with my child. right? This is just a spark of the joy in relationship with God. And that's how we should even see these things. Right? And that way they make us happy and they make us grateful. Grateful that we get to experience these sparks now, and grateful to know what's waiting for us if we continue cultivating our relationship with God. Right? So when Krishna says, me, no one knows, he's reminding us not to rely on logic or speculation. He's saying, know me through love, right? Know me through service. Know me through surrender. Like, this is how the unknowable becomes known. And we can do this every day. We can do these small things every day. Know God through love, through service, through surrender. That's how the unknowable becomes known. What do you guys think of that? I want to hear some of your reflections on this verse. Aaron, do you want to start with us?
Yeah, it was so beautiful. I mean, everything you said, just like really unpacking this verse, and I just also feel personally called out because I am 1,000% like, I honestly used to think I was like, I don't want to be God. I don't understand when people say that. Like, we came to this material world because we wanted to be God. I was like, no, I'm good. And then, like, there are things happening in my life that I want to control and can't. And I'm like, oh yeah, I do want to control. And I now realize how much, right? Like, from minute to minute, like, overthinking what route I should take to the grocery store to like much bigger things, and you know, just the and I love, absolutely love what you said about instead of staring anxiously ahead, we're invited to look up. Just like really good at, you know, that jaw clenching, overthinking, staring anxiously ahead. And I it's just really beautiful, that invitation. Um, but yeah, no, it's I feel like it makes so much sense. And I think I've already seen ways where like things that I'm less attached to that are so much easier to not control. Like honestly, a lot of stuff with work, I'm just very laid back. Whereas I feel like earlier in my career, I was like really wanted to own things and like, you know, be acknowledged for things and you know, prove myself, back to that concept. So I do feel like progress has been made, but you know, I also see things in my life that I'm much more attached to, and I still, and I think it's hard to find that balance of like all that endeavor and wanting to do your best and wanting to show up, because all that endeavor for me often leads to attachment. And it's
Mm,
like how to endeavor without that. Oof, that seems quite evolved.
yeah, that's a really good point. Sometimes just when we do invest our energy, we invest our time, we invest our hearts, we get attached even if we don't intend to. And how to continually bring that back to God. And I think that's the practice, is that even like recognizing when we're starting to get invested, when we're starting to get, overcompensate, we're starting to get controlling, right? When these kind of anartas are coming out of us because of our attachment. It's a time to kind of step back and say, wow, this was not my intention. I never intended to get so involved. Now I'm involved. This is an opportunity to kind of let go and let God. And it's like just that constant practice of like stepping back, assessing. Well, first like noticing, then the red flashing warning lights are going off, right? Which are come out in things like greed, lust, anger, right? Those enemies of our mind. Noticing when those come out, pulling back, reassessing, giving it back to God, right? Reorientating and then trying again. Sometimes people think that it's just like walking away. Like, okay, I got too involved, I'm gonna walk away. I'm not gonna get involved. No, that can be kind of premature surrender, right? Premature renunciation, like we talked about earlier. Right? So sometimes we have to kind of work through some of these things. We have to be confronted. We have to get some of these attachments pulled away from us. Sometimes to even see how attached we were in the first place, to kind of rebuild and say, okay, I'm going to do this again, but I'm going to actually do this in service to God. And I'm going to actually do this in the mood of devotion, not in the mood of serving my ego. It's such an iterative process. But just like you said, I love you said that. Like we make a little bit of progress each time. And then we start thinking we're making progress, and then Krishna throws something really big at us, like our biggest attachment, right? And says, let me show you who's in control. And it's all just opportunities. It's all just opportunities for us to come back to this realization that we're not in control. And to the degree that we think we are and we try to be, we will suffer. And these viruses of the mind, this greed, this anger, this lust, they'll come out. They'll come out and they'll show us. Thank you. Anybody else? Any reflections they want to share? Okay. Please share with us.
We can we cannot know God, but only God's mercy, or if he wants us to know him, that was a great thing. And God loves humility. So that is the first step, and and only through that he comes to us and he helps us to know him. That was a good point.
Mm. Yes. Very nice. Thank you. God sees our humble heart. Sometimes
Humble
that's the
heart.
most service we can do for him, is letting go of our way.
Yes. And
And
the
we're just,
second thing was that to understand, or how, not even understand, how we realize that, look, we do so much, but ultimately he's the controller.
yeah.
That was the second beautiful point.
Yeah. And therefore, it's like the only thing that makes sense is to come to that realization and and do everything that we do in service to him, right? Otherwise, we're going to fall under this illusion that we're the controller, we're the center. But if everything we're doing, where it's truly in service to God, and we're doing it in just relationship, just in love of God, we're always going to be happy. We're always going to be peaceful. We're always going to be joyful. Duality is not going to exist. That's that's the goal. And it's a gold standard, like Shakti would say.
I like too that, he knows everything that happened in the past. I'm not coming to him fresh. He still loves me knowing all that happened in the all my choices in the past. Like he knows every single one. And to be known like that and still be loved, because in the material world you can really sometimes mask that past,
Yeah.
from someone, but he not only knows what we might have said about it, but he knows everything about it, and still he loves us. That's I find that comforting.
That's such a beautiful point too, because it's so, anybody ever done anything like so shameful that it's like you can't even forgive yourself, and it
Yeah.
just like weighs so heavy inside of you. It's like if anything ever like remotely comes up, pushes it up a little bit, you're just like upset or triggered, or yeah, we mask our past from ourselves too.
Yeah.
But it's like God loves us, God forgives us. That allows us to forgive ourselves, to love ourselves. Right? We don't have to hold on to that so tightly. God gets it and he's there for us. We
Yeah.
can we can let it go. Such a nice,
Mhm.
beautiful
I like
point.
that.
And to the degree that we're holding on to it, it's like serves as like a wall between God and us. And if we're serious about our spiritual life, we're serious about connection with God, we have to learn to forgive ourselves for some of these things, or it's gonna forever keep us between God. Oh yes, please, please. Shakti, will you share with us?
Yeah, I want to, I apologize, but I do have to drop at 8:30 because I'm also helping out in another group. Who would have thought? We're walking right into this, like, why do people want me to say anything? I have nothing to share. I'm a nobody. I'm a loser. I don't have anything to share. I've done so much messed up stuff that, wow, I'm getting emotional all of a sudden. That why do people, like when I get a message from you, you're coming soon, I can't wait. I'm like, what do you mean you can't wait? Like, I'm not a good person. Why do you want to see me? Why are you happy? Why do you want me to be a part of your group? Like, it still sometimes comes into the back of my mind. And like Stella said, like, Krishna's with all my anartas, he he says, just reach out. I am here for you. And I
Yeah.
will help you move through this this self-deprecation that you have so that you can realize that you have so much to offer and that you are love and that you have to give and people want to hear from you because you come from a place of honesty and
Mhm.
just realness,
Yes.
Thank you, Stella. But that's it. Like there's no like I don't have a mask. There's no mask. There's no like, this is just my body. There's no like, well, I just got this new car and well, it was fantastic. Like there's none of that. This is me real raw. And and people still send a heart, send a thumbs up, send a love and it's like it feels this is crying of happiness, of joy, of the fact that I feel so loved and this group is so important to me.
Yeah.
And that like this is the first group that someone ever said, I want you to I want you to read the prayers.
Mm.
Or you know what I mean? And it's like I just feel really grateful. And then all of a sudden this other person says, I'd like you to sum up the Bhagavad Gita class. And I'm like, what? Like, what is happening? Why do people want me to do that? And it's like I have to remember that I am not Stacy of yesteryears.
Right.
I am not that person at 18 trying to do all of those things. I have grown, I have evolved, and Rada, like you were talking about, I think on Monday, about the clubs and all the different things that we did and the dating and all of those scenes and Stella said that you didn't do it. I don't think it really matters how we got here. We all have our own backstories, but I guess just that how I felt about all those things that I did. And so
Right.
now I don't even think to do those things,
Right.
which is crazy, right? It's crazy that I think on a whole different plane. So everyone in here, like I'm just so grateful for all of you. Erin, like I love like she calls on you. I wish you would open your mouth more. I love hearing from you. You have so much wisdom, all of you, and it's just group is a savior. It's a savior link for me, and it was sent to me from Krishna, and I'm really grateful. So I just want to thank you all.
Hmm. Thank you, Shakti.
Thank you, Shakti. We love you.
Shakti. So nice. And the spiritual community is so important. We cannot do this alone. We cannot do this alone. And just like you said, yeah, Krishna put us all here, all of us here to be together in this and to walk this path together and to share our struggles and our triumphs and to support each other in that and to lift each other up And that's what we're doing here. We're trying to practice these spiritual principles as we walk this path together. And thank you. Thank you, Stacy, for being here, or Shakti for being here and doing that, and everybody. Yeah. And it's strong. It's easy when we're all together and we're all practicing this together, but it's hard when we leave this call, we walk out to our lives, to our jobs, to keep that, right? To keep that spiritual consciousness, to the person that cuts you off in traffic or the boss that's just a jerk, right? To keep that humble spirit, that humble heart. But we have to remember that's what we're doing here, right? We're not here to prove to our boss that we're great, or to prove to the world, for that matter, that we've got it figured out. Oh no, we're here to connect with God and to turn back towards Him. And that's what should guide our decisions and our behaviors. We remember that. We come back to classes like this association, this Sangha, we remember that. And that gives us the strength to go out into the material world and practice it. Right? And then as we're practicing it, we feel stronger, right? As we're making those decisions, as we're changing our behaviors, as we're making more conscious, intentional choices, right? We're gaining strength. And in that, we're preparing our hearts for connection with Krishna. And Krishna's revealing himself to us. This is the process. So you're all doing it. So thank you for being here and encouraging me on this journey, because I'm so encouraged by all of you. And I'm feeling the strength of this group. Serlene, this is your first time here with us. Do you want to share anything? You're not on video, so if you're busy it's no problem. I just wanted to give you the opportunity. We're so happy you're here, Serlene. Okay, my friends. Does anybody else want to share anything before we end for the day? Mariah, we miss your shares too. Looking forward to Monday. We can hear you again. Okay, my friends. Well, I will see you on Monday. Thanks for being here and thanks for doing the work. Because this is discipline. This is austerity.
Hare
Thank you.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.